What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM signal, plus ESPN Radio and Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. If you're watching me on ESPN News as we speak, I have a cigar in my mouth. I took it out to talk, of course, but I have a cigar. And outside of that, I got on my Cowboys hat. It's very, very indicative of the kind of weekend that I've had. Very relaxing, very enjoyable, very fun-loving weekend in Los Angeles, California. I had a marvelous time at the game Saturday night. Los Angeles Rams beat the Dallas Cowboys 30-22. New Yorkers, fret not. Adam Gase press conference coming at you at 2 o'clock. We'll be carrying that live right here over the airwaves of ESPN Radio in New York. So make sure to you New Yorkers out there, New York Jets fans everywhere, Adam Gase, your new head coach, his press conference will be at 2 o'clock today. I wish him nothing but the best. Do I think he was the right man for the job? Do I think he's the savior? Or do I think he's the individual that's going to resurrect this Jets franchise into relevancy? Hell no. I don't believe it. I've got to see it to believe it, but I'm not rooting against him. And it's not like he's an individual that doesn't know football. I just don't think that the job he did in Miami was extraordinary, albeit he was derailed and bereft with injuries. So I'll take that into consideration. But that is something that we will talk about as the show progresses today. And again, to our New York audience, we'll be carrying that new Jets head coach Adam Gase press conference, his introductory press conference, live at the top of hour number 2 right here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. But the first order of business to get into is playoff action that took place this weekend. And like I said, I'm very, very relaxed, very, very, very calm. Life is beautiful. You know, I want to tell my producers, Jonathan and JC and everybody, y'all look marvelous. Everybody looks marvelous today. I'm in such a good mood. I mean, because I saw what was coming. Y'all didn't see what was coming. Y'all thought something different was going to happen. But you know something? Shame on you. Shame on you. And by the way, the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Peloton, live studio classes in the comfort of your home. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks. No contracts. I told you it was coming. Look, in all seriousness, I thought that the Dallas Cowboys had better talent. I thought that the Dallas Cowboys, I gave them a 75% chance of winning this game. And the reason I gave them that opportunity is because I knew that talent-wise, they were a superior team, talent-wise, believe it or not. The way they had been playing defense, the way Ezekiel Elliott runs the football, the way that Los Angeles Rams gave up 5.1 yards per rush, which led the NFL, okay? I thought, you know something? It's reasonable to give the Dallas Cowboys a 75% chance of winning this game. But I still went with the 25% that I gave the Los Angeles Rams to be more than enough, because I said what can go wrong will go wrong. Somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys would find a way to blow another opportunity. And for now, not 5 years, not 10 years, not 15 years, not 20 years, for the last quarter century, the Dallas Cowboys could not find a way to get beyond the divisional playoff series and get to the NFC conference game, championship game. They couldn't do it. Now, we can look at a potpourri of things, a plethora of things, rather. We can do all of that if you want to. We can. You can sit up there and say Dak Prescott didn't have the most stellar game. You can do that. You can point to Ezekiel Elliott rushing for just 47 yards and 20 carries. You can point to the coaching. Because Jason Garrett, in concert with Scott Linehan, ultimately studied their own calls. And the Los Angeles Rams knew exactly what the Cowboys were going to do and when they were going to do it. And as a result, that made them incredibly transparent, which closed the gaps for Ezekiel Elliott to run the football. And as a result, you got what you got. We could go that route. We could do that. We could do that. But here's what I would ask you to see. I would ask you to notice C.J. Anderson rushing for 123 yards and 22 carries. I would ask you to notice Todd Gurley rushing for 115 yards on 16 carries. I would ask you to notice that the two combined for 3 touchdowns. Anderson with 2, Gurley with 1. I would ask you to look at all of those things. And then I would ask you to say this. Tell me that the Dallas Cowboys didn't get punched in the face. That's what this came down to. We can slice it any way we want to. But the Dallas Cowboys got manhandled at the line of scrimmage. And Ndamukong Suh was manhandling their offensive line. No matter what way you slice it. And Whitworth and his crew on the offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams was manhandling the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. Jared Goff was sitting back there. He barely had to put in a day's work. The Los Angeles Rams rushed the football 48 times Saturday night and threw the ball 28 times. One article was comparing the 32-year-old Sean McVay, the youngest head coach in the NFL, to the old coach Chuck Knox from the 70s, because that's the strategy they reverted back to. We're going to run it right down Dallas's throat, and we're going to dare them to do something about it. That is what happened. We can slice it any way we want. That is what happened. And in the end, as we look at this, even though Gallup had 6 receptions for 119 yards, even though Dak Prescott threw for 266 yards, the reality is this. The Dallas Cowboys found yet the latest innovative way to blow a game. You got Chris Richard, who's your secondary coach. Listen to this, y'all. Rob Marinelli is your defensive coordinator. He's the guy that got into it with a reporter damn near his age because he was upset being asked the question, was he concerned about his job security? He's a defensive coordinator, okay, that couldn't stop the run. I didn't think it was anything schematically, personally, on the defensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys. I just thought that the offensive line was punching Dallas in the face. Gurley and C.J. Anderson was getting through the line of scrimmage into the secondary line of defense for the Dallas Cowboys, and Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith did not have the greatest game. They weren't playing their gaps. They weren't doing their jobs, along with others, and as a result, the Dallas Cowboys defense got exposed. I didn't think it was a schematic thing. I thought it was a personnel thing. I thought you had a whole bunch of guys on the Dallas Cowboys looking for a heart transplant. That's what I thought. That's what I saw. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm just saying to myself, hey, they ran the ball effectively. Dallas couldn't stop the run effectively. And if you can't stop the run in playoff action, what kind of chance do you think you have? And when you take into account the fact that Keith Van Der Esch, along with Jalen Smith, were considered the stud linebackers, who, by the way, well-deserved because they were playing lights out coming into Saturday's game, and all of a sudden, they forgot how to tackle. They forgot how to play their gaps. They forgot how to be the stout defenders that they were prior to Saturday's matchup. And to me, that's why the Dallas Cowboys lost the game. But if you want to go the route of Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan not adapting to the circumstances of the Rams figuring out their plays, okay, that's fine. But doesn't that fall in line with what I told y'all about the Cowboys? Some way, somehow, when it counts, they will let you down. That's who they are. They can't help it. This is the Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan era. This is who they are. It's not going to change. Remember that episode of The Honeymooners, one of my all-time favorite comedies, if not my all-time favorite comedy? When Ralph Cramden was talking about his mother-in-law? He said, she's just naturally mean, that's all. She's never going to change, Alice. She's going to be the same old way, Alice. Remember that? That's the Cowboys. It's who they are. This is not about Dak Prescott. This is not about Ezekiel Elliott. This is about The Cowboys finding and inventing new ways to fall, new ways to collapse, new ways to remind you that there is an upper echelon in the National Football League, and they are not a part of it, regardless of talent. We're sitting here with a nation of fans calling for the exit of Jason Garrett, Jerry Jones talking about extensions. And not only that, they're saying, well, maybe he may call. Well, I mean, he may start doing a play calling instead of Scott Linehan. Well, duh. Excuse me, wasn't Jason Garrett the offensive coordinator when Wade Phillips was the coach? Wasn't he the golden boy getting paid $3 million just like the head coach that was Wade Phillips? Isn't that how Jason Garrett made his bones as an offensive coordinator? Wasn't he the one doing that? So why would it take all of this a decade later before you realize you need to call the damn plays? This is the idiocy of the Cowboys. Let's hope it's not the Jets or the Giants in the future. Or that it's not the Los Angeles Rams next week. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729.